My name is Beth Riviera. I'm the nurse coordinator in the endoscopy department at Sierra Medical Center in El Paso, Texas. I am part of the inaugural evidence-based practice nurse fellowship class from 2012. So I've been in the fellowship for about 2 years now. I can say it's been a wonderful experience. It's been some hard work, but it's allowed me to grow not only in my role as an endoscopy nurse and trying to manage an endoscopy department, but it's helped me grow in my activities with SGNA. It's allowed me other opportunities within SGNA. One of the most exciting things I got to do was going to SGNA headquarters last October to be part of a sedation work group. And more opportunities are coming my way, because of my involvement with the fellowship. So I'd like to tell you about my project that I started about a year or so ago. I've always been interested in nurse-administered propofol sedation within the endoscopy suite. So as we were charged with finding a topic within GI nursing that we wanted to learn more about, research the evidence, and possibly try to make a change at our bedside, I decided that this would be something that I would be interested in learning more about. As I got into delving into the evidence behind nurse-administered propofol sedation, which can sometimes be known as non-anesthesiologist-administered propofol sedation or endoscopist-directed propofol sedation. Basically what it entails is that you're giving propofol sedation in the GI suite without an anesthesia provider present. And I learned a lot more than I thought I would learn. I had done a little research project several years prior about this topic, and I really thought that it was something that we should be pushing for, and that something was that it was very safe. And I'll tell you, in researching the evidence, I still basically feel the same way, but because of my training as a fellow, I've learned to analyze and critique data and evidence in a way that I never thought of before. And I've realized that while there is a lot of evidence behind this practice, there are gaps in the evidence and there are gaps in the research. And I realize that these programs need to be maybe more standardized, that there needs to be possibly some sort of standardization of training. So while I thought my paper would reflect a true gung-ho attitude that we should be allowed to do this as GI nurses and GI doctors, I realized that maybe there are areas for improvement, and that kind of surprised me during my research. So I found that very interesting. Part of my project, the initial part of my project, was to present my findings at last year's SGNA National Conference. And that was a very daunting task for me. I've taught and I've done small lectures, but I've never done anything on such a grand scale. So it was a little overwhelming for me, but I prepared my PowerPoint, and we had our session, and it went really well. It was a real growth opportunity for me to get up on a stage and present to people from all over the country about something that I had researched and show my presentation, and to see that people were actually interested in it. It also allowed me to network with people involved with computerized propofol sedation, which was just kind of an added benefit. The second half of my project involved something a little bit more complicated for me. I actually attempted and succeeded in writing a manuscript that has just recently been accepted for publication in our Gastroenterology Nursing Journal. That took me really about a year. It was quite a difficult process for someone who hasn't written a paper since the 1980s when I was in college. But it was a real learning process, and I had a lot of help from Dr. Baker and my scholar, Sue Nucio. And after several revisions and some peer review revisions. In December it was accepted for publication and will come out in our journal in September, October of 2015, which is, it's a little hard to wait that long, but that's the way it rolls with so many admissions coming into our journal. So I look forward to seeing that in print. I feel like that's a huge accomplishment to have something published in a peer-reviewed nursing journal. So presently I am without a project, but I am contemplating my next topic, which is fecal transplantations, or FMT, fecal microbiota transplantation. This is something that I find very interesting. I published a small case review in EndoNurse a few years ago about my first transplant, and I've done about 25 transplants since then. So I think my next topic might involve something along those lines, possibly working with SGNA to maybe get some standards and guidelines from SGNA for nurses trying to do transplants across the country. So I encourage everybody who's thinking about applying for the fellowship to just go ahead and go for it. The people you meet, the networking is just invaluable, and you will always know that you have friends in SGNA.